Hey there. So I wanted to share with you a little system that I put together that I've used for really building my business in a much more, I'd say, just financially conscious way. This isn't about investing or necessarily saving, but a lot of the time, when you're building a business, you want to grow it, right? You want to grow it, and sometimes it's problematic to be able to actually grow while still being able to keep money in the bank. And I've dealt with this problem for years. I've made tens of millions of dollars, and I've spent tens of millions of dollars. And until I started doing this type of thing, it didn't really keep money. It didn't keep money, and it feels a lot better to be a multimillionaire and to save money and to invest it than it is to just keep on building a business. And don't get me wrong, there's certain businesses that are right to grow. But a lot of the time, if you look at the way that most entrepreneurs actually become financially wealthy, it's either by selling the business or it's by being able to take money out of the business and put it elsewhere. And so I wanted to share this with you today. So this is actually using my own actual numbers. So a little vulnerable, but I think it's actually important to understand the way that I do it, so that it's not just some random values in here. Okay. So, and a little bit of it is boilerplate, and we're going to go today. So the method is this. The method is, I'm running a business, and on one side, the front end, so my courses, digital products, that stuff, that is taking care of my advertising cost, my growth cost, my core team, and my paid advertising, and any subscriptions and that type of stuff. Okay, so. And then on the back end, which I'll show you in a minute, the back end is based upon pure profit, right? So the back end is my kind of other programs, all right? So this is how it works. So I'm taking a look at this. So, my workshop, which is my 5-day, there's a couple different workshops, depending on when you're watching this. I'm recording this in June, so I'm going to have another workshop that comes out in August. But these workshops are $95, heavily promote it. I'll be the first person to say I'm not making a lot of money from that, okay, in terms of profit. But overall, here's the revenue. So I got about $15,000 coming in a month in affiliate revenue. I have other one-time revenue of smaller courses. This is my other kind of larger courses. This is what's coming in, on a monthly basis. I've also, just so you know, this August, kind of inaccurate. What I did is I just copied July because it didn't. These numbers are going to be higher if you're looking at here. And so what happens if someone comes into the workshop and then they either buy this or they buy the course, and the reoccurring sales are either $100, $150 or $300 a month that people are paying for anywhere from 3 to 12 months. Okay, so this is where you would put in your income, right? This is where you would put in your digital product income. All right, so a lot of people they go online and they want to build a course business. Course businesses at the beginning are profitable, but when you go to scale them, they're not as profitable. Like, you're making majority of the money on the back end. So my recommendation is always to make the money on the back end. So kind of like thinking about it this way, if I can just kind of show this to you. So let me just open this up. So let's look at it this way. So when somebody, let's say you're doing course sales, okay? And let's say you're doing $100,000 of course sales a month, okay? Typically, you're going to spend, unless you're really in a different type of, like, you're going to spend 60% on advertising. You're going to spend another 10% on delivery, right? You're going to spend another 10% just on, like, other growth. And you're going to spend about 10% on team. And so your margin's 10 to 20%. Right, so that means that $100,000 turns into a pretty small profit margin. Okay, and so you're always putting money back in, and yes, you're building audience so that over time your monthly revenue will increase. But the problem is that, like, this business model doesn't make as much sense. So what I say is this: is like, let's have a course that, or let's have a digital product that leads to a course. And that then leads to a back end, right? It could be anything back there. And then what I say is, like, let me take 100% of the revenue that's in the core, or let's just do front end products. And let's just put it all into growth of the business. And then you take 100% of the revenue of the back end and you put into growth of your wealth. Okay, so and wealth could be investing. It could be creating new product lines, right? It could be just saving, right? Whatever it is that you're saving for. Okay, so I'm just going back to this. So here, and the reason I created the spreadsheet so you create it yourself. So here I have my current kind of stack. All right, now the affiliate cost is based upon about a percentage of how much the workshop and the affiliates and people that promote my stuff. And then I have my paid advertising in here. I expect this to go up, but I'll show you why. So this is kind of like, this is what I would call, this is your standard, okay? So if I, like every single month, I know I'm going to spend about I'm going to essentially spend $60,000-ish on paid advertising, okay, going forward. I know my subscription's there. I have a pretty small team in terms of, I only got a couple people on my team. That's, payment fees are based upon how much, revenue I'm collecting here, right, which is 2.9%. So essentially what happens is every single month I have, so total revenue from this 216,000. My total expense is 134,000. Now, of course, some of it's variable, right? So some of it's like this is variable and this is variable, right? So I can bring this up and down and I can bring this up and down. The rest of them are kind of fixed costs, right? Instagram growth and YouTube growth, all these different types of things, right? So that means at the end of the month, I have $81,000. And this is the important part I'll come back to in a second. So $81,000. Then on the next month, pretty much the same thing, generating a bit more revenue. All right, now we got $280,000, now $143,000 in profit. Same thing for August. I just pretty much kept it the same. It wouldn't be the same, but I'm just keeping it the same. So see this number right here, this number. So what I've essentially said is any money that I make on my back end, which I'm going to explain in a second, I am going to pull that money out of the business instantaneously, and it's going to take care of my lifestyle, my savings, my investment. Okay. Now, in a perfect world, you would invest money and get your lifestyle taken care of by the investments, but that takes a little time sometimes, depending also on how much money you're spending on your lifestyle. So I'll just go here for a second to explain this. So I have three really back end things that I sell. Now these are not my investment companies or anything like that. This is just purely Scott Oldford. I have my ROI mentorship that right now is $5K and $6K. My accelerator that's $25K and $30K, and my one-on-one which is $75K and $90K. And I have a $250,000 version, but I typically don't sell that version much, both for a couple of reasons, and I don't enjoy it as much if I'm being honest. So that's what this looks like, right? So that's one-on-one. That's what all of this looks like. Okay, and we'll come back here projections in a minute. But essentially, this revenue here is purely front-end revenue, and the idea of it is that every month I come in here and I'm like, okay, cool. So over here's the actual. So I'm put in the actual after each month, and then going into the next month, I'm like, okay, cool. So now I can take $81,000 and I can grow the business. So here's what happens. Here's how most people grow their business. They grow their business, they go into their bank account, they see how much money's in there, and they're like, okay, well, I can afford this, or I can afford that, or I can afford, whatever it might be. And so what this allows you to do is grow the business from one part of the revenue and allows you to keep the other part sort of separate, right? Because what would happen is, I get, let's say I got a $75,000 upfront payment from, one of the one-on-ones. I'd go and spend, $25,000 on Facebook ads, and I probably didn't need to, right? And it also drives me to make more systems, because front-end products are typically driven by systems and promotions. And so it drives me to, kind of do that. So now, then I can decide, okay, do I want to keep the money in the bank right now? What investments do I actually want to, spend in terms of, what I can spend to grow the business? And so then I go over here to my growth levers, and I'm always looking at, okay, well, where do I want to put the money? My main places I want to put money is paid advertising, further content development, my partnership podcast strategy, my YouTube strategy, my Instagram strategy, right? Those are the places where I know I'm going to get return. Right now in my business, these aren't really a priority, and these are taken care of. PR is good, LinkedIn's good, SEO is good. You're going to have your own investments, right? And so I just say out of 5, where do I want to put the money to? So then at the end of each month and then at the end of each quarter, because essentially what you would do is say, you'd say, okay, you know what, I'm going to take 25% of all this revenue and I'm going to put it right back into growth right away. Because I know next month, if I made let's say I got 80,000. Let me take 20,000 and, let me take another 2,500 and put it into Instagram. Let me take another 2,500, put it into YouTube, and let me take another 2,500, put it into content. Let me take 12,500 and put it into, YouTube advertising if that's, working for me. Okay. So then I'm going to take the other 75%. I'm going to, again, this is just, a random orientation of numbers, but I'm going to take the other percentage. I'm going to say, what, that's for my long-term marketing investments. Okay. So let's say I want to go in, or let's say, I have a really great opportunity to perhaps buy a company that could generate me more leads, or, I can buy an email list or buy a Facebook group or whatever it might be. That's what I would use that money for. Okay. So that's essentially how I separate it. And then on the back end, essentially I'm looking here, and so this is very much my back end and sort of, the number of products I'm looking to sell. So now I can look at, if I look at an overview, so June, July, August. So if I hit the numbers that I'm looking at here, and this is based on past history of the last 3 months. So with July, we're looking at half in 24, 631, 674. So my core expenses, right here. Now this does not include my life expenses or anything for me. Okay, this is purely the business. So, I believe that your business is the sovereign state and you're the citizen. Okay, so they're two different things. I'm not going into the country's bank account taking out the money. So that means I have this amount of money left. All right, so this is how much money I got left. Now, as you see here, my back end, my only other expenses are any of the events that I hold here, which I haven't put inside of this document, but it's not that expensive. These are fairly intimate events. They're not costing 50,000 or even 100,000, maybe 20. These events cost 10,000. This event probably maybe cost me 25. Okay, so pretty nominal for the amount of money I'm generating. So I'm not worrying about that right now. So now I look here and I'm like, okay, cool. So June, July, I generated, let's say I hit those numbers, so $81,000 in June that I'm hitting for that. That means in July, I have an extra $81,000 to spend. In July, I have an extra 143. August 143. If I combine them together, what is it? 369,000. Okay, so I might take and spend 75,000 of that, or my book launch coming up in August. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna pull this together, spend all that money when my book comes out, because I want that to do whatever it might be. And then the lifestyle, for the most part, costs about $25,000. So I pull that out on a monthly basis, which means that my remaining is, this is how much money I'm literally pulling out of the business. Now I keep it in a business bank account because I don't know where I'm going to be using that money. I don't know how I'm going to be paying taxes, if I'm going to be putting it in a long-term insurance, if I'm going to be putting it in a long-term investment, if I'm going to take that money and invest it back into the business. For example, I want my business to buy another business, whatever it might be. But then this is how much money. So I have $81,000 to grow, and I got $283 in profit. 140. So this makes it so that I'm not. And keep in mind, guys, I know that these are maybe some big numbers for if you're watching. It might be small numbers if you're watching this. Who knows? Everything's relative. But overall, like you come in here and you put in any amount of money, 10,000 a month, 5,000 a month, 25,000 a month. This is going to allow you to separate it. Now, also keep in mind, my business is very based on my time. But if it wasn't, it's still sort of, it still sort of works. Which I also go here and I'll look at, okay, well, how much time do I need to spend in the business, right? So anytime I'm doing numbers, and I'm trying to hit, and I don't try to hit numbers. I'm more to just look at, okay, well, how many people do I want to help? How many people I do want this, and what's it going to look like? So, if I look in here, so June, all right? So if I sell the number, that's over here, where to? I think I made a mistake here. Oh, right, yeah. Let me just fix this real quick. I messed that up. So this is how much time. So I got 6 hours for growth, which is like content development, that type of thing. I'm pretty efficient when I work. 4 hours of management doing finance stuff. And then, so here we go. One-on-ones, my accelerator group, my accelerator one-on-one calls, my ROI group, and my ROI mentorships. My ROI mentorship, every single new person that comes in, they get a 40-minute phone call with me, right? So I'm making this nicer. It's actually probably a little bit less time. So every single month, this is not how much I work, but this is how much I can work. So if I take a lot of time, I take a week off per month. If I do that, okay, cool, I'm working 18 hours a week. Don't do that, I'm working 13 and a half. And then I go, I'm like, all right, well, if I continue because of the way my accelerator is 6 months, my one-on-one 6 months, and my other programs 4 months. So then I look at this and I'm like, okay, cool. How much am I working at the fullest extent when I'm making, my fullest is going to be, what is it going to be? I don't actually have it here, but it's this times. So I got 3 months here. So I probably add on an additional probably 100,000. So call it $750,000 a month. So call it $750,000-ish. Yeah, $750,000. Yeah, so call it $750,000 a month, assuming the front end doesn't increase, just the back end. Then I would be working, 25 hours a week, or 33 if I'm taking a week off. And so then I'm like, do I want to do that for the next 6 months? And in my current case, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That makes sense because I'm making like $10,000 or $12,000 an hour. I'll do that, right? That makes sense to me, right? But this allows it so that you can then go in and be like, okay, because if you're in the planning phase, right? So if you're not doing this retroactively and you're in the planning phase, you can go in and be like, oh, well, what does it feel like if I do, 8 hours here, right? What does it do if I do, what happens if I only have 2 people here, right? And then, the finances obviously change and that type of thing. So I just wanted to show this to you because this is how I find, from everything I've done, this is how I've been able to create growth in the front end, profit on the back end that I can actually then take out of the business because, I'm not trying to sell this business. I'm trying to invest in other businesses that I can then go sell. So anywho, wanted to share this with you. I thought it would be an effective use of some of your time. And, for every business owner, I want you to become wealthy and I want you to have a big audience and I want, growth in all areas of your life. So enjoy. Talk soon. Bye.